Hi everyone, welcome to the Ever Seeking Empath. Happy New Year. I hope you all had an awesome New Year. I can't believe it's 2023 already. It feels like a fake year still to me, even though we're like a week into it. But yeah, we're going to do your year ahead reading today. So we're going to just figure out what's coming to you for the new year. So I'm doing this reading a little bit differently than I usually do. We're still doing your cards and charms, but the way I'm doing it is we've got a tarot card of the year that is from the Drifting Moon Tarot. So it's just major arcana cards. It's a beautiful deck, but it just gives you kind of a tarot card of the year. You can use it as an affirmation or just an energy that you want to take through your year ahead. So we're doing that and a bunch of oracle cards. I'm also going to pull some of your love story oracle cards live just to give you some love messages if those are necessary. And then after your cards, we are going to do monthly tarot cards and some charms. So the way we're going to do that is I'm using the mini Everyday Witch Tarot. I'm going to lay them out in my charm tray and go month by month for, we're going to pull a tarot card for every month. And then I'm going to pour some charms on top. And then wherever those charms land kind of gives you an indication of what might be happening that month. So just kind of an interesting, different way to do the charms. And that should give you a little bit more of a broken down overview of how your year ahead is going to go. So before we go to the piles, I just want to remind everyone it is a general reading. Not everything might resonate with you. Take the messages that you feel are meant for you and leave the rest. Also, like, share, subscribe if you enjoy this video. And also, when you're done watching, if something resonates, please comment and let me know because I love to hear this stuff, especially when it's the year ahead. If you feel like coming back in a year to let me know how things resonated, I would love to hear about it because that is always fun for me to hear. I love seeing what resonated, what didn't, what surprises came through, that kind of thing. It just kind of gives me a fun indication of how these readings are actually resonating with people. So we have 3 piles here today as usual. I'm using a few crystals to kind of give you an indication of which pile might be meant for you. So just choose the one that you feel most drawn to. It doesn't have to be like your visual favorite or anything like that. Just feel kind of into your intuition, figure out which one you feel is meant for you. So for group 1, we have this kind of pale purple and white crystal. Pile 2 is a dark blue, black, and kind of shimmery crystal. And then pile 3 is the kind of zigzag striped purple crystal. So just let your intuition guide you. Pick your pile based on that. You can choose more than one, but likely if you do that, you're not going to have every message resonating for you. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to put timestamps below in the description box and in the comments, and we are going to get started now with pile number 1. Hi Group 1, welcome to your year ahead reading for 2023. I hope everybody has had a happy new year so far. So we are going to start with all the cards that I've shuffled and pre-pulled for you, which includes your Major Arcana Tarot card of the year. Then we're going to pull a Love Story Oracle card for you and then finish up with your monthly tarot cards and charms. So let's get started and see what you got. So for your tarot card of the year, you got Temperance. So Temperance is all about moderation, kind of taking the middle path and not leaning too far in any direction. You know, it's about patience, it's about moderation, it's about being able to traverse kind of difficult waters at times and remain calm on the inside. So I feel like a lot of you are going to be dealing with that kind of thing this year, maybe trying to not lean towards any extreme. But let's see what the rest of your oracle cards have to say. So you have Manifestation. So I feel like you're going to be a very powerful manifester this year. You might be coming into your own power. You might be feeling a lot more capable of doing things. You might feel like you have all the resources available to you that you need to make things happen this year, which is a great energy to be in. You have Overflow, Overwhelm and Plenty, number 43. So that's awesome. Overwhelm sometimes makes me feel like you're going to be overloaded, or things might feel like too much, or it's going to be over emotional, because with all the water kind of flowing down in this card, that's usually symbolic of emotions. So it could just feel like a lot this year. So I think that's why it's being emphasized to you to take on that temperance energy to make sure that you can get through all of this overwhelm. But overwhelm in plenty is a really good omen. That's a really good sign. I feel like that might be what you're manifesting is now. You might even be getting overwhelmed by the fact that when you set out to manifest something, it happens and you get overloaded with how much is coming to you. And it's something unlike what you're used to from what you've experienced in the past. So that could be happening. You have spontaneous. So I feel like some of you might be getting a little bit more spontaneous this year, really saying yes to things a lot more than you usually would. Some of you might be wanting to say yes to too much. Maybe that's where the overwhelm is coming in, is there's so much good stuff that you're going to have to be very choosy about what you allow in and what you have time for. And then you also have success. So this is really good energy for the year. Anything that you set out to do will be successful. And obviously that's not going to apply to every single thing you set out to do, but I feel like overall you will be experiencing a lot more success this year than you usually do. So that's awesome. And spontaneous success, seeing these two words sitting next to each other, makes me feel like a lot of it is going to happen suddenly. Like maybe you're going to be in this temperate energy and like moving forward kind of slowly, feeling like you're not noticing a ton of change, feeling like you're able to stay kind of solid, but then feeling like all of a sudden things are coming in and you're having to maintain that temperance energy within yourself as well. And then finally you have blue moon, dream, imagine, create. So that goes very well with your manifestation energy. I think that a lot of you are very powerful manifestors. Whatever you dream and imagine, you will be able to bring into reality. So that's an awesome energy to be in. I do want to get you some love cards as well to just kind of see what might be coming your way as far as love goes, because none of this is leaning directly towards love, but it can be applying to that as well. So we're going to use the love story oracle cards for you. Pull you a couple of love cards here. All right. So you got passion, number 14. So passion makes me feel like that's going to be really great. That's passion in love and in any kind of creative endeavors, any kind of manifestation. So whatever you're bringing in, you're going to be very interested in and very passionate about, whether that's love or not. You have regret, number 20. And then you also have commitment, number 5. So with regret, I feel like some of you might be struggling to let new good things in, and you might be feeling a little bit stuck in the past, especially regarding love. Obviously, this is a love deck, but these can apply to non-love situations as well. And I feel like a lot of you might be feeling kind of tied down to the past, and that's why you need to take that temperance energy on board and really just focus on the here and now and what you can control within you. And recognize that if you stop focusing on what didn't happen or what you did wrong in the past and start focusing on what's coming in the future, you're going to notice how much good stuff is coming towards you. And then commitment, number 5. So a lot of you, I think, are going to be ascending to a higher level of commitment this year, whether that's in relationships or just in what you're setting out to do. Because with that manifestation and that overwhelm and plenty and success, I feel like when you really commit to something this year, it's going to bring many, many blessings in towards you, and you're going to be overwhelmed by how much is coming towards you. And that's why that temperance energy is going to help you stay centered this year. So let's get your month-by-month tarot cards with the charms, and let's see what's coming this year for you. So it's looking to be an interesting year just from first glance. I'm seeing a lot of pentacles and a lot of wands, but you're kind of punctuating the end of each half of the year with a swords card. So that's just my first impression here, and you do have a couple of major arcana cards as well. But let's start in January here. So for January, you have the King of Pentacles. So the spool has to do with little details. So maybe this is a time to really hone in on some small things, maybe finances, because you do have the Diamond as well, and the King of Pentacles has to do with finances. So some of you might be wanting to just focus on the your finances after the holidays, especially if you've been spending a lot more than normal and you have to get back to your budgeting. And then you have this kind of droopy flower, which always makes me think of being down, being overwhelmed. A lot of you, this might be that kind of crash that you experience after the holidays. So for a lot of you, I think that's what's going on. So really just hone in on those details. You might be kind of focusing on just how you can get your finances back to a place of abundance this month. For February, you have the Page of Pentacles. So that's kind of starting something new, starting at the beginning again. You have a bulldog, which I often think of stubbornness, which does fit with the Page of Pentacles as well. They are very stubborn and they're going to achieve what they set out to do, even if it takes a long time to get there. You have the letter I, so that could have a special meaning for you, but that just makes me think of focusing on the self as well. You have the Scarab, which is a good luck charm as well. That has to do with abundance and longevity as well. You have the Mermaid back, so there are a lot of things you're not really aware of right now. I feel like there are a lot of things that are feeling kind of alluring, like you're looking out into the future and seeing maybe like your dream home or the ideal career that you want or the relationship you want, and you're kind of in that dreamy space, but you're taking those practical steps to start moving in that direction, which is awesome because that's going to be what brings you that abundance. You also have the travel coffee cup. So a lot of you, I think, are going to feel very much on the go in February, kind of moving into March. It might start to get a little bit overwhelming at that point, and that's when that temperance energy that is your card of the year is going to kind of come in. Because then in March you have the strength card. So I feel like you're going to feel powerful. And if you're not feeling powerful at that point, I think that's a time to start working on your power, because notice how this witch is like powerful, taming the lion, and then there's this storm behind her. So I feel like a lot of you are going to feel a bit more capable of taking on those storms because of the storms that you've already weathered successfully. So for April, you have the Seven of Wands. So you might feel like some things are kind of coming at you quickly, like there's a lot going on. Some of you might feel like you're standing alone as well, and like all the things that are coming at you, you're having to kind of fight off. So some of you might be fighting off like offers that you're not interested in, if you kind of put more of a positive spin on it. But some of you might be just at a point where people are asking too much of you and you have to say no to some things. So just make sure that you're setting those boundaries that month. You also have the letter L, so that might be significant. I'm also thinking love, so you could be fighting off some love offers as well, because that's kind of one of the things I was thinking of initially when I saw that. And for some of you, you might be really just wanting to focus on your career at that point. So love really isn't as much on your mind, and you're either fighting off suitors, or if you're in a relationship, you're kind of pushing back on your partner, not wanting to focus as much of your energy on the relationship, wanting to focus more on your career and your personal goals, that kind of thing. And then for May, we have the Knight of Cups. So that is often romance. It's following your heart. It's a very emotional card. It can often be a little bit more in the dreamland and not so much on the practical side of things. So that could be something that's coming in following that kind of independent energy in April. Maybe in May, you're wanting to connect more with other people, or you're wanting to move towards things that are a little bit more impractical, but you've been dreaming about them. So that's the kind of energy I feel like you're going to be in that month. But I'm noticing in this card right now, the sharks underneath. So I feel like you're maybe not going to be as bothered by the people who are wishing you harm or who aren't being helpful, because you are so intensely driven by whatever your heart is telling you. So that's awesome. That's a really great energy to be in, to kind of, ignore the haters and that kind of thing. For June, you have the Four of Swords. So at that point, I feel like you're going to be retreating from the world a bit. It might be a better time to take some rest, and to take the mask off as well, because you have the mask that landed upside down there. So that to me is about taking off your mask, being authentic, not worrying about the face that you are expressing towards other people. And you also have the X. So for some of you, that could mean that you have kind of a whirlwind romance in May, and then it ends in June, because this could be an X. But if that doesn't apply, I'm also thinking like X marks the spot. Like that's a point in June where you're recognizing what you really want. So you're taking a break to kind of collect yourself and redirect yourself and find what direction you should be moving in. In July, you have the star. So I feel like that's a time where a lot more hope is coming in. You feel like you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel as well. A lot more things are going to be going well for you. I feel like a lot of you are going to be able to hang on to hope of a better day. A lot of you are going to be expressing yourself more authentically as well. Because the star is also the Aquarius card, and that's all about authenticity and your own personal truth. It can often be about innovativeness as well, and doing things for the good of the world too. So I feel like a lot of you might be kind of resonating with some of that you're feeling like you can see the potential in the world and the potential in yourself and in other people as to what they could be if they were at their best. In August, we have the Page of Cups. So that's, again, a little bit of a dreamy energy. You might be getting some intuitive guidance at that point. I love that you have faith here, so that's kind of continuing the faith and hope from the star card into the following month. And then you also have the lightning bolt, which makes me think of inspiration and ideas. And for a lot of you, this is going to be creative ideas because it's on the Page of Cups. So for a lot of you, I think there are going to be some really great things coming in that you maybe wouldn't have otherwise noticed or thought of if you hadn't taken that break a couple of months prior. So for a lot of you, I think August is when things are going to start kind of making sense. Like you're going to start trusting that things are going to start working out for you. For September, you have the Seven of Pentacles. So that's all about investments and seeing what investments you should continue to make, which ones are paying off, which ones you need to tend to a bit more, which ones aren't working out. It's just kind of taking stock of what you've been working on, what's around you, just to see what's worth continuing. And sometimes it can have an energy of frustration, but that's why I feel like it's saying devote your energy to what you have control over and try not to devote your energy to things that maybe don't need continuous like poking and prodding. Try to just focus on things that need that tending to at this point, and anything that just needs time, try to leave it alone and not focus so much on it. You also have the poinsettia here. So the poinsettia makes me think of like Christmas time because it is kind of a Christmassy flower. But it could also have to do with toxicity, cutting out things that might be toxic for you. Even if it's something that's not like inherently toxic, it could just be toxic to you. Because one thing I'm taking notice of is the cat here, and the poinsettia was above the cat. So it's making me think the cat's looking at that. And poinsettias are toxic to cats and dogs, other animals. So for a lot of you, I think this is just about taking stock, seeing what is going to be serving you, what you think is serving you currently, and then what you know for a fact is no longer serving you. And sometimes that means cutting it out, even if it's not inherently toxic, but maybe even scaling back, whether that's relationships, whether that's certain things you're working on at work that you know are just burning you out. You don't feel like you're making any progress with it. It's not bringing you any kind of fulfillment or joy, just anything that you have power to cut out. Try to kind of take stock of that and think about that this month. Then in October, we have the Five of Wands. So things are starting to kind of pick up in energy. I feel like you're going to be wanting to stabilize a little bit because you had the Four sitting kind of upright there, but it was propped like precariously there. So I feel like your stability might be kind of called into question, whether that's your kind of mental and emotional stability that you're going to feel a little bit shaky in that way right now, or whether it's going to be about your career stability. Maybe you feel like your job is in question, or you're not sure if you're getting the same level of fulfillment that you were prior. And you also have the Fox here. So the Fox is about sneakiness and cunning. So there might be somebody who you feel doesn't have the best intentions towards you this month, especially being on the Five of Wands. That's often conflict and a little bit more of a chaotic energy. So some of you, I think, have to be wary of that, but the Fox is also about self-interest. So make sure that you're focusing on your own interest and not worrying about what other people will think, what their best interest is. Try to make sure that you are focusing most of your energy on yourself, and obviously try not to do anything that is actively going to harm someone else. But sometimes it's just, other people maybe wouldn't be happy if you got a promotion and they didn't or something. Try not to hold back your goals just because of how somebody else might take it, because their feelings are not necessarily your responsibility, especially if it's something related to your personal success. Then for November, we have the Queen of Wands. So that's a very powerful energy. That's being in your power. That's feeling very confident in yourself. That's a lot of business success as well in your career, in your personal life. You're feeling very attractive as well at that point. So that's awesome to see. And we also have Gemini energy here, kind of bridging the gap between November and December. So some of you might meet somebody, friendships might be on your mind. Gemini is like the twin card. So I feel like some of you might be thinking about like soulmates or twin flames. It doesn't have to be romantic, but just, I feel like you're really compatible with somebody else. It could just be a friend. And that's honestly what I'm leaning towards. It's like a friend or a sibling, a family member, somebody that you just feel like you're really getting along with, and it's intelligent on the backside. So I feel like a lot of you just have somebody who is very mentally aligned with you and who can kind of push you to be your best intellectual self. And then finally for December, we have the King of Swords. So a lot of charms landed over here. So we've got 7. So December 7th might be significant for you because that kind of landed down here in the corner. Not my circus, not my monkeys. So that's a charm about, again, not worrying about what other people are doing, not taking on responsibility for other people's issues. That's kind of what I was talking about with that 5 of Wands in October, making sure that you are worrying about yourself and your personal success and not worrying about being responsible for someone else or their feelings or their success. You have half and half. So some of you might be deliberating between 2 choices. You're not really sure exactly where you stand. And so I think this is a month to weigh up those pros and cons because the King of Swords is very logical, very intellectual. They make decisions in a very logical, rational way. So I think that that's going to be important. And then it's going to be important to give it time because you have the clock, and that often makes me think of feeling like time is running out or, trying to figure out when the right time is for something. And I think that's why it's important to just be logical about your decision making at that point. And I think that's really why that temperance energy is coming through, because you do have a little bit of chaotic energy this year. It's not overly intense. Like I feel like the past few years have been a lot more intense, but this is just really giving you some extra guidance on how to hold on to that temperance energy for the year. And a lot of it has to do with logic at the end of kind of each half of the year. And then there are other points, as we saw, like in May and July and August, where it's really about following your heart and making sure that you're aligned with that and what feels emotionally right and having faith and things like that. So, so I hope that this resonated for you, Group 1. I would love to know if it does, and if any of you want to come back and visit me a year from now and let me know how it resonated, if any of it came true, I would love to hear about it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, share, subscribe, comment if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Hi, Group 2. Welcome to your year ahead reading for 2023. I hope you all had a really happy and healthy new year. So we are going to start with your oracle cards, and that includes a tarot card of the year that's from the major arcana. Then we are going to pull you a love story oracle card just in case there are any love messages for you, and then we're going to finish it off with your monthly tarot cards and charms. So let's get started and see what your year ahead is going to look like. So your tarot card for the year is Death. So don't be too freaked out. A lot of people don't like the Death card, but I actually think it's a very refreshing card to have because it's all about things that have been coming to an end for a long time and the new beginnings that emerge from them. So Death is often about transformation, like the end of one phase, but at the end of every phase, there is a new beginning waiting there as well. Notice how there are kind of ghosts coming up here. So even if they ended, their past life, now they're exploring their new realm, their new way of being. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of major change this year for you. And obviously there are probably been a lot of major changes recently as well, but this to me is something that's not unexpected. The death card is a long time coming, so it's things that you've known you've either outgrown, or it's the end of an era. Maybe you're leaving a job that you've had for a long time, or you're leaving a relationship, or you're moving, something like that, where it's just the end of some sort of era of your life. And it can be very sad, but it's also very uplifting. So it's often a very bittersweet card to get. But let's see what your oracle cards have to say. So you have finding, and I love this because it just makes me think of finding a new part of yourself, a new something new that you want to go after. And I'm noticing there are these butterflies up in the corner, and butterflies are often a very transformative energy. People often relate those to the death card as well. So I feel like, the way that you were before was great for that era, but now you've gone through a difficult phase and you're emerging as that butterfly, which is kind of the state of being that you need to be in anyway, that's finding this much more vibrant, colorful version of yourself, because this card is so vibrant. You have Will-o'-the-Wisp, treasures hidden in the shadows, number 62. So yeah, treasures being hidden in the shadows, and with finding, I really like that energy. I feel like a lot of you are going to be discovering things through this transformation. So being hidden in the shadows makes me think that when you're going through that difficult period, you're going to find some really important elements of yourself and elements of your life. You're going to be finding what you're meant to do, who you're meant to be. There are some really great things that are going to emerge from that, so just make sure that you're paying attention. And there's a lot of wing energy here. With that Will-o'-the-Wisp, I'm seeing some wings too, and it's kind of giving me that fairy energy. So I feel like a lot of you are going to realize that you have a lot more power. Things are going to start taking flight for you, that kind of thing. And then you also have Caterpillar, opportunity, number 4. And I love that. I don't think that I've ever noticed that this card has such butterfly imagery too. I always just focused on the cat element. But Caterpillar, opportunity, I love that. That just makes me think that you are having the opportunity right now to emerge into who you're meant to be, even if it's different than what you expected, than what other people expected. I'm actually going to bring this down here. But there's just a lot of really great opportunity coming in right now for you. And I feel like, again, it's going to be very vibrant. I love how it's moving from this kind of dark energy into more vibrancy, dark energy and then vibrancy. It's a really refreshing way to be. And I feel like you're going to be learning throughout this process, and whatever opportunities are coming in are going to lead you to whoever you're meant to be. There's just a lot of really great transformation going on here. And then you have abundance. So that's the thing. It's not going to be taking horrible things away from you. There's a lot of abundance here. There are a lot of really great things coming your way. And I feel like a lot of you might be kind of freaked out by the change, but I think that this change is going to lead you into a better phase. The transition period is always difficult because change is hard, change is scary. But whatever is coming in to take the place of whatever left is going to be so much better than what you could have imagined. And then finally you have apple pie, trust, integrity, comfort. So I'm getting a couple of things from this. So one thing is rely on your old comforts to kind of help guide you through this. You can carry those old parts of you through the process of change. And a lot of the time that kind of helps us adjust to change too. If there are things that always feel reliable to us, whether it's people or movies or a mantra that you repeat, or just, a favorite place that you had when you were a child, something like that. I feel like a lot of the time that can lead us to a lot of comfort and help us make it through the difficult periods of our life. But I also feel like trusting that things are going to get better is going to bring you comfort as well, and making sure that the situations in your life align with your integrity. So that's one of the things that I feel like is allowing you to leave a big part of your life behind, is recognizing that it doesn't serve you anymore. It doesn't fit with who you are. So you know in your heart that it's time to let this go. So we are going to get you a love story oracle card now. So these are great. They're going to give you a few love messages, and then you might be getting some non-love messages from them as well. So let's see what you have. Okay, yeah. Just looking at them. So you have number 7, patience. So a lot of you, I think, might have to exercise some patience and recognize that this change is not going to happen overnight. I feel like a lot of you have been patient, but being patient with yourself when you're moving through this transition is going to be important too, because it is going to be good. It is going to feel better, but just be patient and recognize you're not going to feel good about it in one day. Sometimes it takes kind of peeling away the layers and recognizing that you can find good things in every day, but it's not all going to feel right and perfect right away. When you change things, everything feels a little wrong for a bit, even if you know that what you left behind didn't feel good anymore. Just newness, it kind of puts you on high alert, so it just feels a little off for a while until you get into a new routine. And then you also have fear, number 9. So yeah, a lot of you, I think, are going to be a bit fearful because, as we talked about, change is scary. And I think recognizing that fear is okay and that you don't have to use that fear as a reason to not move forward with this. Fear doesn't always mean that it's wrong for you. It just means this is unknown. This is uncertain. This is new. Fear usually accompanies new things. So for a lot of you too, maybe you're even wanting to get into a relationship and you're leaving an old one, or you're leaving your single life behind or something. And just being patient with yourself while you move through the scary phase, while you move through all of the changes. It doesn't mean you made a wrong decision. It just sometimes means it takes time to get used to a new normal. So let's get your monthly tarot cards and charms now so that we can get kind of an overview of what each month will bring. Okay, so for your year ahead, month by month, January, you have the Fool. I'm actually seeing a handful of major arcana cards here. But I love that the Fool is starting off your year because that's all about taking a leap of faith. It might have to do with travel. We're getting travel here. And we're also getting the birds chattering to each other. So a lot of you might be really connecting with somebody right now, talking to people, maybe even about a change that you want to make. But I feel like you're kind of in this energy this month about really wanting to jump in and take a leap of faith and kind of close your eyes and just jump in without thinking too much about it, without talking yourself out of it. Maybe a lot of you are talking to somebody about wanting to travel and wanting to do more of that, wanting to explore new things, and you're just in this really excited, joyful energy about it, which I love. February, you have the Page of Wands, so that's about actually kind of exploring things, taking some steps to move towards something new. And you have the Passport here. So maybe a lot of you are really focusing on travel this year. Maybe that's something that you're leaving behind as like your home life or something. Maybe you're wanting to move or relocate and you're trying to explore where you'd want to go or where you want to see. And with the Passport, that's just about doing things you've never done before. It can be about actual travel, obviously. But I feel like a lot of you are really wanting to just do something new and get to know a new place. You also have the school bus here. So some of you might be thinking about education or moving your education forward, or even just exploring somewhere new and like learning about a new place, learning about something that you've always wanted to explore but never really got the chance to do. You also have the squirrel on a branch here. So that kind of makes me think about like contemplating about like what kind of investment you need to make. Like squirrels will squirrel away nuts for the winter. A lot of their investments pay off. So a lot of you, I think, are maybe thinking about what you want to be putting away, like whether you need to be putting more money away, whether you need to be focusing more of your time on this new thing that you want to do, or focusing more of your time on actually traveling, putting more energy into looking for a new place to live, things like that. But it's just this kind of contemplative energy about thinking about what kind of investment you need to make, what kind of effort you need to be putting into whatever you're trying to achieve. Then for March, we have the Ace of Swords. So a lot of you are going to be getting some mental clarity that month. I think a lot of you are feeling a lot more in your power this month as well. You have Sagittarius energy here, which says optimistic on the back. So a lot of you, I think, are going to be feeling more optimistic. You feel more capable. So I think maybe that finding card that you got is starting to come out right now. in March. A lot of you are going to be figuring out what it is you want to do. You're going to start just doing things rather than just thinking about it. Like ideas are going to come to you about how to make things happen. And then you also have the dog here. So the dog can be like a loyal friend. It can be companionship. It can be enthusiasm and excitement because this particular dog has the tail wagging, it looks like. So a lot of you might just be getting excited. Like I'm getting this very energetic vibe from this month. It's almost like the static electricity that builds up before a storm because you can even see all of the electricity in the background here. So that's what I feel like is happening this month. There's just a lot more enthusiasm building up. And then it looks like you use that to actually start moving things forward in April because you have the 8 of Pentacles, which is about hard work. It's about getting things done, perfecting your skills. So whatever it is you're doing, I feel like you're really focused on trying to achieve whatever it is you're setting out to do this month. April just looks like it's about really creating what it is you want to create and trying to work out all the kinks so that you can be prepared for whatever is coming your way. Then in May, you have the Queen of Wands. So that's a very confident energy. It can often be a confident feminine. I'm getting Bast here. So a lot of you, it might just be a very independent, like female-focused energy. It doesn't have to be female, but I'm just getting a very strong, powerful energy, like being really in your power, being very confident, feeling attractive, feeling kind of focused on your home life as well, because Bast, I believe, is the goddess that protects the home as well in domestic areas. And since June has that 10 of Pentacles, that can be about home life. And you have the little vampire teeth here as well. So that could be about just being confident that you are protecting yourself from toxic energies, any kind of energetic vampires or situations that you feel like are not serving you anymore. I feel like you're able to cut those out and you have that power to kind of prevent those horrible energies from coming in. Like, I don't think negativity is really getting to you right now. And then you also have the watermelon. So the watermelon makes me think of summer, and obviously May starts to kind of move into those warmer months in the northern hemisphere at least. And I just think of like rewards, like juiciness as well. And just things starting to really come together, things starting to feel just fun. Like, I don't know why, but watermelon always makes me think of fun. And I think it just makes me think of being a kid at like summer parties and that kind of thing. So I feel like there is a large sense of fun this month, and you're able to kind of cut out a lot of the negative energies that you're feeling. And then in June, you have the 10 of Pentacles. So that's very focused on the home life. So like I said, that could be relocating. It could be focusing on where you want to live. You could have a focus on family and like leaving a legacy as well is something that I often think about. But I feel like in your case, it very much has to do with home and family. So June, I think that's going to be a lot of your focus, but it's a very positive focus too. It doesn't feel like family obligation or negativity or anything, or just focusing on your chores, but really making sure that your home life is a very joyful, warm, loving place to be. Then in July, we have the 7 of Swords. So I feel like there is kind of a negative energy that's kind of in your sphere right now. It's kind of been there a little bit before. Obviously, we saw those vampire teeth, and this doesn't have to be another person. This could just be like self-sabotage, and that's kind of more what I'm getting, just because we have the rocking horse here. So the rocking horse is like moving back and forth, but not necessarily getting anywhere. You know, a lot of effort put in, but not moving anywhere, not getting any progress being made. So I feel like for a lot of you, it seems like you get very much on board, you're excited, you move towards things, and then the self-sabotage starts to creep in. So July, that might be something to look out for, is just, are you starting to self-sabotage? Are you starting to overthink and convince yourself not to go for something? Because I feel like a lot of you kind of fall in that pattern where for months you can do really well, and then you start to slip up, or you're not seeing the progress you want to make, and things start to kind of feel like you're backsliding a bit. But just keep in mind that that could just be fear creeping in. It could just be kind of some stagnation happening. So just make sure that you're not sabotaging all of your progress just because you have one little slip up, or, you know, things aren't quite going according to plan. Just reassess, maybe re-strategize. 7 of Swords can be about strategy as well, and then move forward. So for August, we have the Five of Swords. I love seeing the Phoenix here because that is very much the Death card energy. So a lot of you, I feel like, are transmuting whatever this kind of negative energy is into something positive. You have the Anchor here too, which is about stability. So for some of you, I think you're feeling a bit unstable right now because change is very destabilizing. So just recognize that you have the power to turn this into something better. So try not to worry about winning. The Five of Swords is often about like winning at any cost. You know, it can be about manipulation and severing some relationships with people, you know, not necessarily taking the high road, but taking the low road to achieve what you want to do by any means possible. So just make sure, again, that you are acting with integrity here. Your Ice Cream Oracle card mentioned integrity, and I feel like this is when that might be coming up a little bit, is to make sure that you are acting with integrity. This could also be somebody else trying to kind of manipulate you, and you're going to need to be the stable force and rise above it. For September, we have the Eight of Wands, so things are really going to start moving quickly this month. I think this might be a month where you're having to make some quick decisions about what doesn't serve you anymore because we have the Scissors. So some things that you feel like there are still some strings attached, you might need to just start cutting things off and not like, you know, willy-nilly everything that you see getting cut off, but just anything that you know hasn't been serving you, but it's just been kind of hard to finally make that decision. I think you're going to just have to make that choice to cut it off, be done with that, you know, not worrying about things that aren't serving you anymore, that aren't bringing anything good to your life. Cut those cords. And then you also have the Fox. So that's about self-interest. It can be about acting with integrity as well, just because the Fox can sometimes be like very sly and cunning. So that's kind of this Five of Swords and Seven of Swords energy that we have in the months prior. But in this month, I feel like it's more about just making sure that you're acting from your own integrity, acting with your own self-interest in mind, not worrying about, you know, how other people are perceiving you so much, just really kind of flying under the radar with the decisions you're making. Even if they're quick decisions, even if you're overwhelmed, try not to worry about how other people are perceiving you. And then moving into October, we have the Six of Wands for October. We've got this cloud kind of ending September, moving into October. So some of you might feel a bit uncertain at that point. You might feel like you're not really sure what is happening, because I think September is going to bring you a lot of change, and that often brings a lot of uncertainty. So for many of you, it's going to feel kind of bleak at that point, but because October is the Six of Wands, that's success, that's joy, that's happiness, that's being recognized for your achievements, that's celebration. And you have the Magic Wand here. So I think you're really going to feel like a powerful manifester this month. I think this is a month where a lot of your abundance is coming in. A lot of you might have some love choices coming in. You might be getting a lot of attention. You might feel very attractive this month because we have that heart key. So you might even meet somebody who makes you feel more fulfilled. It makes you feel a little bit more like yourself. You might feel like you actually have a match out there. And if you're already in a relationship, maybe this is where you feel like they're actually recognizing things that you've been doing well. And you start to kind of open up a little bit again. Because I feel like there is this kind of closed off energy over the summer where you're not really wanting people to see what you're doing. And then by October, you're really wanting to show the whole world what you've been doing. Then in November, we have the Magician. So that's about manifestation, having all the resources available to you to achieve what you want to achieve. You have the to-go coffee, so I think things are going to be moving quickly. You're going to feel very much on the go. You also have the car, which is chariot energy. So again, being on the go. I think November is going to be busy. There's a lot coming in towards you. I think that abundance is coming towards you. You're going to feel like nothing can go wrong, you know? I feel like a lot of you are going to be feeling very good in those autumn months. And then finally, December is the Devil. So for me, that just makes me think, be careful of excess. Be careful of taking on too much and indulging too much. Be careful of getting kind of addicted to the glory or the power or those feel-good situations that maybe aren't the best for you overall. And that might be something that needs some cutting out, because we have the pruning shears. So that just makes me think you might need to be very conscious of what isn't serving you anymore, what you don't necessarily need. So I feel like that's another point where this death energy is kind of permeating your whole year, is that it's going to be coming up in different ways. But there are a lot of like endings and new beginnings and things that maybe you weren't ready to let go of before, but now you're getting to the point where you know you need to let go of them if you're going to move to the next stage. And then you have the covered wagon, which makes me think very much of moving to the next stage. So that's about moving into unknown territory, you know, exploring new things. It's a new frontier. There are things that you haven't experienced before that you've maybe always wondered about. It's totally unknown. It's totally mysterious. It can be very scary, but you can't get there if you are forever holding on to the last thing that you were attached to. You know, the devil can often be about toxic attachments as well. And it makes me think of like the monkey bars. You know, you can't move forward to the next rung unless you let go of the last one and then swing forward. So I think a lot of you are really going to need to pay attention to that and recognize when it's time to let go and move forward into that new energy. So group 2, I hope that this resonates. It looks like you've got a lot of awesome things coming this year, but it's just going to be a year of big changes, a lot of forward movement as well, so that's great to see. Please comment below if you feel inclined to, and then any of you who are wanting to revisit this video in a year, let me know how this turned out, if these things came true, because I would love to hear about it. I love seeing kind of what emerged for people and how these things manifested. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, comment if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Hi Group 3, welcome to your year ahead reading for 2023. I hope you all had a happy and healthy new year. So we are going to start with all of your oracle cards, and that includes a tarot card of the year that's just from the major arcana. Then we're going to get you some love oracle cards from the Love Story Oracle, and then finally we're going to finish it off with your monthly tarot cards and charms. So let's get started. Your tarot card for the year is the High Priestess. So I love this card. It's a very mystical card. It's very much about being very attuned to your intuition. It's trusting in things that you can't see. And I feel like a lot of you are very intuitive people because obviously you're watching a tarot video. But besides that, I feel like you're just going to be very much more attuned to your intuition. And I think a lot of things this year might come off as kind of mysterious. You're not really sure what's coming, but I think if you really look deep down, you're going to be very tied into what's happening. So even if you didn't expect something to happen, you're going to kind of know about it, or you know, when something does happen, you're going to be like, oh, that makes sense because I had this feeling the other day. Maybe that's what that meant. It's just a lot about exploring your intuition this year. But let's see what the rest of your oracle cards have to say. So you have strength. So a lot of you, I feel like this is all just about being in your personal power. So feeling very strong, feeling very attuned to yourself, feeling very courageous, trusting just in all of your traits that are making you, feeling confident enough to be yourself. Just really, I feel like this is all about just your true self, your soul emerging and being shown to the world as well. So even if you're not at the point yet where you feel like you're ready to show it to the world, I think you're starting to tune into who you really are at your core. You also have Winter's Dream, gestation period, number 63. So a lot of you might be a little bit more in hermit energy right now. Focused just on yourself, focused on letting things grow in their own time, not really rushing anything. The High Priestess is very much that gestation period, just focusing on what's within. Strength as well, focusing on your inner self, not focusing on the outside world or getting esteem from other people or anything like that. It's just very much tuning into yourself, figuring out what you need, and maybe even taking a break from the world for the time being. You have Fairy Tale. So I think a lot of you are maybe dreaming big and imagining what you want the world to look like, what you want your life to look like. You're starting to kind of tune in to not just your intuition, but like your inner child, believing in miracles, that kind of thing. So I feel like a lot of you are focused on bringing about things that some people would say aren't realistic, and just focusing on making some of those things happen, focusing on things that you've always wanted but you thought were maybe too out there, and you're just tuning into what you really want and kind of stripping away what other people have told you to want. It's maybe you're in the kind of like dark forest period of your fairy tale and you're starting to come out of it and move into a period where you feel like things are possible and beautiful again. And then you also have white light. So this just makes me think of protecting yourself. So that's strength. That's that high priestess. That's that gestation period, like we mentioned, because there's this bell jar over the moon, and there's the moon, that same shape and direction, crescent moon going on here. So I feel like a lot of you are in this period where you're just in a discovery period. You're trying to figure out who you are, and you just want that kind of safe space to be able to do that and explore that. So cutting out people who maybe aren't helping you with that, who aren't really aware of that. Like if people around you are the type to make you feel bad about it, you're kind of keeping them at a distance right now, not worrying about kind of indulging their fantasies, but focusing on what you want your life to look like and what you want to be. And you're just focused on that and protecting yourself from all of those outside energies. And then you also have coconut, protection, purification, and boundaries. That's exactly what I was talking about. So I love this already. I feel like a lot of you are getting better about setting boundaries, and you're making sure that you're not focusing on how other people see you. That's kind of a through line through all of these. I'm noticing I'm saying that a lot, but some of it is smaller energy in the past piles. But if there's another one that you felt drawn to, feel free to watch that too. There might be a little bit of a message in there for you. But a lot of you, I think, are kind of purifying. You're cutting out those things that aren't you, that are just impressed upon you by your environment or by people who raised you or something like that. And you're really getting in touch with who you actually are and who you want to be. And that's what's gestating right now. You're just really focusing on that, not worrying about how other people want you to appear. So let's get you some love oracle cards right now and kind of see what those have to say. These can apply to actual love messages or non-love messages. I'll kind of explain as we go. Okay. So we have forgiveness, number 25. So some of you might need to forgive like your parents or the people who raised you or your environments or old partners or old friends, people who have hurt you. You might also need to forgive yourself for being somebody that you weren't. But I feel like a lot of this has to do with just like tuning into what didn't serve you and, what kind of periods of time you felt very detached from yourself, and recognizing that that was just a key to help you grow, and recognizing you don't have to stay in that energy, but it helps to kind of forgive and accept the way that it happened and release it in order to move forward. And then you also have chemistry, number 28. So I think you're going to be finding those things and those people that really light you up, and that just feel like you feel that magic. You feel that kind of fairy tale energy. So a lot of you, I think, are meeting people who you feel a lot of chemistry with. Others of you are going to be falling into situations where you feel like this is right for you, and you're just going to need that time to really tune into what that feels like. That's why you have that high priestess and the gestation period. You're really just tuning into what feels right to you, and then what you were kind of conditioned to feel like you needed. So I hope that's making sense, but that can obviously apply to romantic relationships, forgiving somebody that hurt you in the past, forgiving your partner, rekindling that spark with chemistry, but it can also apply to just your situations in life. It can apply to projects, forgiving yourself for moving towards a goal that wasn't really yours, but it was somebody else's, forgiving yourself for making mistakes, recognizing how to get that passion in your life back, and recognizing that kind of pure magic that happens when you are in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. So we are going to get your monthly tarot and charms right now. Okay. So I love that you are starting the year with a couple of aces. That's new beginnings. That's awesome. You've got a couple of major arcana cards, and I love that I'm already seeing you got the high priestess, which is your tarot card of the year. So That's in August, so August might be a significant time for you to really tune into that energy, but I love that. I think you were the first group to get your tarot card of the year actually out in your monthly tarot cards, so I love seeing that. But let's start with January here. So you have the Ace of Pentacles. That's starting a new endeavor. That's starting fresh. That's planting a seed for new growth. So for your charms on that month, you have play. So I think a lot of you, there is kind of that childlike energy here, really reconnecting with what lit you up as a kid. You have that Six of Cups later in the year as well. So I feel like a lot of you need to reconnect with your childlike self, really reconnect with that sense of play, plant the seed to kind of explore what lit you up as a kid, what you think is going to be joyful for you in the year coming as well. It could be also planting the seeds for a new career or something too, because that Ace of Pentacles and then Ace of Wands, that could very much be career oriented, and it could be leading into a creative career, but that might not resonate for everybody. But Ace of Pentacles is finances, it's career, it's those tangible resources, and just planting a seed for a new beginning. And I also love that you have the can opener and the bottle opener on that month. So that's about opening up. So I feel like that's really when you're going to feel like you're starting to crack open. I'm getting like the image of an egg cracking, like cracking open that egg, and like the shell breaking, and that's kind of the painful part of it. But then you get something brand new coming out of it. So I love that. Moving into February, where you've got the Ace of Wands, we've got the 4-leaf clover here, so good luck at the end of the month leading into the next month. And then we've also got this dress here. So that always makes me think of like putting forward your best self. And right now, I kind of love that the dress kind of matches her dress here too. So that kind of makes me think of like more emphasis on like your personal power too, and do whatever you need to do to feel powerful. But I'm also getting the kind of image of Cinderella's dress that the mice make for her in the Disney version of Cinderella. So I feel like for a lot of you, trust in the other people around you to help, and recognize that you might get some sort of blessing from the universe too, because those aces can often be like blessings from the universe. It's potential for new growth. So some of you might be getting that kind of intuitive nudge from the universe. You might be getting a lot more creative ideas. You might be getting a lot more opportunities coming your way, and it could be a little bit overwhelming, but I think that's why I'm getting a lot more visual imagery in this reading than I have in the last two combined, because I feel like this is a very, very intuitive pile, and just tuning into that energy, there's just going to be a lot coming at you. So just keep in mind, you can always kind of tune it down if it gets overwhelming, but I think it's going to be a really good thing. So you also have Kiss Me kind of leading into March, but that just makes me think, again, like it could have to do with the chemistry, like you could find somebody attractive that you really want to get to know better, but it also just makes me think of like kind of romanticizing your life again, like the fairy tale card that you got. It just makes me think of seeing it like through a child's eyes, and seeing the magic in every day, and feeling like something miraculous could happen on any day, you know, that kind of thing. And I know that this is kind of on a different month, but you also have Lucky here that's kind of sitting on February. So because you have that 4-leaf clover on February too, I feel like I just wanted to point that out. February could be an extremely lucky month for you. So in March, we have the King of Wands. So this Kiss Me could relate to whoever this King of Wands is. It could be an actual person who's got goals in mind and is going to set out to achieve them, but I'm more getting that that's just the energy for the month for most of you. You're really kind of setting an intention to move towards something, and you are going to make it happen. And then you have Gemini sitting here too, which says intelligent. So I think you're going to be using your intelligence to move towards whatever this situation is. Kind of, there are a lot of charms here. I feel like you got a lot more charms than the other groups, and they're all kind of straddling a few months. But the lawnmower just has to do with maintenance. So between March and April, you'll probably be having to do some maintenance on your life, maybe scale back some of your goals for a little bit just so you can start maintaining the things you already have. Just make sure that you're not ignoring like bills, taxes, that's tax season getting in there. So that could be something that you have to focus on. So if that message resonates for you, that you're like, aha, then that's just an extra added message for you. So in April, you have the Four of Cups. Just kind of pointing that out there, but I want to get into the charms really quick. So you have the two birds chattering. So there might be a lot of opportunity to talk to people, but I feel like with the Four of Cups, you might not really be wanting to talk to people that much. So that's that High Priestess energy coming in where you're feeling very independent. People are wanting to come in and talk to you. Try not to shut them out entirely, because I feel like sometimes if you get into that hermit energy, it's hard to reintegrate into the world again. As we saw like from the past few years, sometimes it's hard to like get social again and start making plans, but try not to completely cut off people in your life. Keep engaging with them, even if you just take more time for yourself. You also have school, so some of you might be in school and maybe it's like that last stretch before your break, so you're kind of getting disillusioned with the whole thing and you're just like wanting it to be over, but just try to keep pushing through. You have the saddle, so get back on the saddle again. A lot of you might be thinking about going back to school, but you're not really sure if it's worthwhile, and you're kind of avoiding seeing the opportunity that's coming in because you feel like maybe it's just better to maintain my life as it is, like this shows here. So a lot of you might be kind of deliberating on that, and it's just, you're feeling a bit disillusioned and like kind of, there's a sense of ennui about that as well, that you're not fully enthusiastic about it, especially after that enthusiasm of the King of Wands. But then you have the star with the heart kind of in the middle. So that's just saying, make sure you're still following your heart. Try not to get too disillusioned by the situations that are around you or by your obligations or by things that have to get done. Make sure that you keep making an effort to reconnect with what's in your heart, the goals that you still have, your childlike self, all of that. So in May, you have the Six of Cups. So that's a very childlike energy. It's very joyful, reconnecting with the past. So a lot of you, I think, are kind of maybe living a little bit too much in the past. And since you had the forgiveness card too, this could be a month when you're just really digging into your past, because you do also have Scorpio here. And the back of Scorpio says passionate. So it could be just reconnecting with the passions of your past, but I also feel like it's kind of looking back on things that happened when you were younger, forgiving yourself for the way that you dealt with things before you knew better, and forgiving other people for how they dealt with things and how they treated you. So just making sure that you are not living too much in the past. Use the past to help you learn those lessons that can help you have a better future. Then in June, we have the Three of Pentacles. So I feel like you might be starting to come together with more people again, starting to come together with your sense of community a bit, working with other people to build a new foundation and to move towards something that you wanted to do, helping other people achieve their goals and having them help you achieve your goals. I feel like there is going to be kind of a common communal goal that you're going to be working to towards with a group of people. And if that's not the case, I feel like you're going to have some people who you can rely on to help you move towards your personal goals. You have the unicorn here. So that just has to do with like uniqueness, dreaming big, really focusing on your creative self as well. But just, I feel like your imagination is going to be key in June. You have Libra, which is charming. So again, like that's also working together with people, because Libra is a very much a partnership oriented charm, and zodiac sign. But with charming, I feel like a lot of you might even be charmed by somebody else. There might be people who you have that kind of chemistry with, who you really want to work together with. Because I feel like a lot of you are very choosy about people. Most of you are probably introverts, and you're just aware now of who you want to choose, and then maybe who is toxic for you, because you do have the vampire teeth. So that often is like spiritual vampires, toxicity, people who kind of drain the room instead of like adding to it. So you'll be aware of that. I think you're very attuned to people's true intentions too, and just trust in that. And then you also have the rocket ship kind of straddling June and December. But I feel like June is when some things are really getting launched. That's really what I'm picturing with the rocket ship, is things getting launched for you. And it's also moving into July because you have another rocket ship kind of straddling July and August. So another rocket ship, more getting launched. That's awesome. I feel like a lot of things are starting, but it might feel kind of slow because 3 of Pentacles, you're just laying the foundation. And then July is 7 of Pentacles. That's kind of taking stock of what's out there, figuring out what changes you need to make. Sometimes there can be some frustration with the 7 of Pentacles, feeling like things aren't moving fast enough, but it is launching because you have those 2 rocket ships. It's moving. It's just you might not notice it because it is incremental, but it is moving consistently forward. Then in August, you have the High Priestess, which is your card of the year. So I love that. You're definitely tied into your intuition, especially this month. Let it guide you because you have the Lighthouse here. That's a beacon of hope. That is guidance. If you feel like you're not finding your way home, that lighthouse helps you figure out where you are, and it helps you make your way towards where you need to go. You also have Lucky and Hello on here, so you might even meet somebody that month that is going to lead you to an opportunity that you want, or that's going to just be there at the right time. And you do have the dolphin too, which is like a helpful friend. So that lucky hello from a helpful friend, I feel like there's just like a spiritual guide that month that's going to stand out to you. So if anybody experiences that in August and wants to come back and tell me what happened or who that was, I would love to hear, because I just feel very strongly like for a lot of you, there's going to be like a very significant, almost like angelic interference going on that month, but somebody is just going to help you out of nowhere, out of the blue, like you're not expecting it. And I feel like you're going to get chills because it's very like poignant and pointed and intense, and it's going to leave you kind of reeling for a bit. But I feel like a lot of you are going to get like a message from somebody that's like exactly what you need at the exact right time in August. Then in September, you have the 4 of Pentacles. So I feel like there's frustration in September because maybe you were starting to see things happening. August, you got that like kind of spiritual connection. And then September, maybe things start to stagnate, or you feel stuck, or you feel like to move forward, you know, things have to change, but you're really hesitant now to let go of what you've already achieved because you don't know if what you traded in for is going to be better or if you're trading it in for less. So there is this energy of just feeling locked up. Some of you might even hesitate to connect with people again because you were kind of connecting and then I think you retreated a bit. So some of you might just need to be aware that it's okay to be that way, but just try not to stay too stuck for too long. Then in October, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So that's a very domestic energy. So maybe you're focused much more on the home, maybe even on your body, just trying to be healthy, eat well, exercise. Maybe you have a good like self-care routine going on. Maybe you're focused on your family or your pets because there are all these cats here. So maybe some of you are just wanting to spend that month at home with your pets, which is totally fine. I feel like this is a good month for repair too. So maybe that's when the forgiveness card is coming in because you have the wrench. And then you also have the lips here. So part of that could be like related to romance, like a kiss. But because the lips are open, that makes me think talking. So speaking your truth, making sure that you're not holding back and like just holding on to what you need to say. Because that could be what was coming up in September with the 4 of Pentacles, is holding on too much to what you needed to say and not actually doing anything about it or saying it. So this month is a good month to start to speak your truth and start to even speak more kindly to yourself. Because I think some of you start to get back into the self-sabotage, like negative talk behavior. And this is a time to really be conscious of that. And maybe this is all about self-forgiveness and repairing your relationship with yourself and trying to be kinder to yourself as well. And then November, we have the Lovers. So I love that card. That can obviously have to do with romantic relationships, but it can also have to do with just following what your soul is telling you, like we've been talking about with that High Priestess and all of your cards, really connecting with situations that feel right to you. Your soul is leading the way. You just feel like whatever you're meant to do, like you fit in this situation. So November is going to be awesome for that. The car is Chariot energy, so I think you're really going to start feeling some forward movement here. You have the bow, so whatever's coming in is going to be a little bit extra. It's going to be more than what you expected or hoped for, and it might come kind of wrapped up in a different package than you were expecting. So sometimes that means people are going to hesitate to go for it because it doesn't look like you had hoped for or like you expected. Try not to say no to those opportunities anyway and just see what happens. You also have the sand dollar, which makes me think of kind of emotional currency, because the sand dollar is in the water, and water is always making me think of emotions. So I feel like a lot of you are maybe going to have to choose where to put your emotional energy, whether you're getting back what you're putting in or not. I know this isn't Six of Pentacles right here, but that's kind of the energy I'm feeling, is making sure that you are putting your emotional energy in to an area where it's reciprocated, whether that's a relationship or a situation, a career, just some kind of situation where you're getting something back. And this could also be like a return on your prior investments. So whatever you were planting at the beginning of the year or investing in July, you might be seeing the returns in November. And then finally, we've got December, which is the Five of Pentacles. So it might feel a little bit slower this month. You might feel like you've lost something or like you're left out of something. You have Pisces energy here, which is intuitive, which has been coming up a lot for you because the High Priestess is intuitive. So I think some of you maybe are feeling disconnected from your intuition this month. I think it's going to be important to treat yourself and to make sure you're being kind to yourself. So try to pull in some of that Queen of Pentacles energy from a couple months prior. The little frappuccino there just makes me think of treating yourself and being kind to yourself, even if it's not like super healthy or something. You know, you don't have to be dieting and exercising all the time. Sometimes the best thing to do is like cocoon yourself and just figure out what sounds good to eat, or watching sappy movies all weekend. You know, even if it's something that wouldn't be healthy if you were doing it forever, you're not doing it forever. You just need to do whatever feels good in the moment. And then you have Taurus energy, which is the bull here. So stubbornness is coming up. Maybe that's why you're feeling the sense of loss, is feeling stubborn about the way that you hoped things would look. Maybe you feel like you're not seeing the returns on your investment yet, or like you lost something, or it could also just be as basic as the holidays are around and you're spending more money and now you're realizing that you don't have as much money as you had hoped to spend, or something like that. But just being mindful of that and making sure that you're kind of balancing that desire to treat yourself with also being practical, but just try not to deprive yourself. That's really the energy I'm getting, is don't deprive yourself, be kind to yourself, make sure that you're kind of indulging in some of those, I don't want to say just indulgent things, but make sure that you're being kind to yourself and providing good things for yourself and providing comfort. Make sure that you're indulging in your comfort. So, Group 3, I hope that this resonated. I would love to hear if it does, so please leave me a comment below. It seems like you do have a very intuitive year going on, and you might be on a bit of an emotional roller coaster. It doesn't seem overly emotional because you actually didn't get any Cups cards aside from the Six of Cups, but I feel like there's just like quite the journey going through here. But just be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, and recognize that things are coming together for you. Even if you're not seeing it in the moment, just keep reconnecting with your intuition. I think you're going to notice that's when things really feel magical, is when your intuition is open. So just keep that in mind. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, comment if you feel so inclined. If you want to come back around in a year and let me know how this resonated and what happened, I would love to hear about it, because that's always fun to hear. Yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and I hope to see you next time.